Yo, what is up guys, Ghost here, and today I want to bring you guys a breakdown of all the best primary weapons to use in Battlefield 2042 Season 3. So if you're a new player and only now jumping into the game, these are going to be the weapons I recommend using. Before we begin though, consider subscribing so you don't miss out on any future Battlefield videos. Our goal is 40k by the end of the year, so let's see how close we can get. Thank you guys so much for your support. So I'm going to break these down into the different weapon categories, and everything will be timestamped down below, so if you have a certain type of weapon you're looking for, feel free to skip around the video. So we're going to do two selections for each category that cater to different playstyles, and we are going to begin with the assault rifles. The first weapon here, and somewhat of a meta at the moment, is the SFAR, otherwise known as the SCAR in reality. This one has actually just been nerfed at the beginning of Season 3 as it was that good, but it is regardless one of the best assault rifles around. It does 28 damage all the way out to 75 meters, making it a 4-shot kill, 3-shot kill if you score a headshot. The recoil isn't super low, but it is tameable, and perhaps best of all, it comes with an underbarrel grenade launcher, which in Battlefield 2042 is pretty darn good. Now for attachments, you want either the tactical compensator for increased accuracy over range, since the recoil is manageable. However, if you're having trouble with recoil, you can use the Warthog compensator instead, and then you want the high power drum magazine, which may be a bit of a grind, but definitely worth it in the end. Now my second choice here is going to be the M5A3. So this gun is just a really solid all-rounder, and you can kit it out in a number of different ways. Here's what I generally run with. The BCG light grip always for extra aim down sights accuracy, extended standard 50 round magazine, and the short barrel. However, I do sometimes swap out to the close combat rounds. This magazine only has 45 rounds instead of 50, but it increases your rate of fire to 910, which is pretty sweet. I also keep the extended barrel on standby there just in case I need to counter a sniper. That's going to nerf your rate of fire down to around 650, but it does give you a pretty big increase in accuracy at range. So with this gun, you're just really good to go in almost any situation. It's super forgiving on the recoil, and I highly recommend it. Right, on to the SMGs. The first one I recommend here is the PBX-45. Standard issue extended magazine, tactical comp, and the BCG light grip. Just a really solid 800 rate of fire SMG, very reliable, very forgiving, great in almost any situation. It's one of the only two SMGs in the game that actually deals 28 damage per shot, making it a 4-hit kill, but it's the fastest firing of the two, so definitely a solid choice. However, if you want something a little bit more robust, you've got to go with the K30, aka the Vector. As in every other video game, and indeed real life, this thing has an insane rate of fire. At 1100 rounds per minute, it is the fastest firing automatic weapon in Battlefield 2042, and as you might imagine, you might find its recoil a little bit hard to tame initially. Grinding out the attachments for this one is pretty challenging too, as the starting magazine only has 20 rounds in it, and you just fly through those rounds so fast. But once you get all of the attachments, put a standard issue drum magazine on there, the tactical compensator, and the BCG light grip, and this thing absolutely rips. I also like to keep a silencer handy for both of these weapons, so if you get in a great flanking position, it can be worth equipping that silencer, as you will get spotted on the minimap in Battlefield 2042 as soon as you fire without one. LMGs. The first choice here is going to be the Avances, and honestly this is one of the best all-round weapons in the game right now. It's a 4 to 5 shot kill up to 75 meters, 750 rounds per minute, and with the extended magazine, you've got 200 rounds to go at before needing a reload. But what makes this weapon really shine for me is its low recoil and simply how accurate this thing is, meaning that equipping attachments to compensate for these factors isn't really necessary. You can totally get away with a laser sight and a suppressor on this gun if you like, rather than a tactical compensator and a grip. In fact, it was so good that it has already seen several nerfs, but it still outperforms lots of other weapons in the game. Now, the second choice here, I haven't actually unlocked yet, and that's one of the new vault weapons in Season 3, the XM8 from Bad Company 2. I'm simply choosing this because I've heard that it is an absolute beast and maybe even somewhat broken at the moment, but apart from that, honestly the Advances is better than the PKP, better than the LCMG, definitely a contender for best weapon in the game. Sniper Rifles. So luckily for you newer players out there, the SWS-10, the starting sniper rifle, is one of the best in the game. Any of the snipers in this game are a 2-hit body shot and a 1-hit headshot with the exception of the NTW-50. So what we're really looking for here is the best rate of fire and accuracy, and that is the SWS-10. For attachments, I recommend the long barrel, extended standard magazine, the 6xM11 scope, and the BCG light grip. It might be worth having a red dot sight available as well, like the Fusion Hollow, just in case you want to do some quick scoping, but DICE kind of killed that gameplay in Season 3 anyway. You can no longer one-shot in the body at close range, so unless you're great at pulling off headshots, I don't really recommend that. The second weapon I would recommend is the Gol Magnum from Bad Company 2 and BF3. It has a smidge less range than the SWS and a whole lot less ammo capacity with only 6 rounds, but its handling just feels much snappier somehow, and it sounds really great too.
Target neutralized!
Marksman Rifles. First up, the BSVM, aka the AS Val. This gun, just like the M5A3, is very versatile, and DICE try to bridge the gap here between a marksman rifle and an assault rifle. So you're going to have a suppressor equipped all the time, cannot be removed. I then recommend the BCG light grip for extra accuracy, but you will have several options when it comes to magazines and playstyles. So firstly, you have the extended high power magazines with 20 rounds, 35 damage per shot up to 75 meters, and you can fire these in full auto mode as well at a rate of 400 rounds per minute. However, you will incur a pretty nasty vertical recoil penalty by enabling full auto with these rounds. So that's the sort of DMR function of this weapon. Alternatively, you can equip close combat rounds, 30 rounds per magazine, 21 damage per shot dropping off at 30 meters, but raising your rate of fire to 800. So a pretty interesting weapon, quite versatile, and definitely a bit of a favourite for lots of players out there. Coming in next, we have a more traditional marksman rifle, the DM7. A 3-shot kill up to 100 meters, and if you equip the high power rounds, it's a 3-shot kill at any range, 2 if you score a headshot. This is actually one of the nicer weapons to put a suppressor on if you don't mind leading your target a bit more, as you will lose a bit of velocity. Otherwise, the tactical compensator is always a good option, as is pairing the extended barrel with the high powered rounds for those really long ranges. Overall though, I'm not sure how much I would recommend using a DMR at all. They're definitely not the most popular weapons in Battlefield 2042, and that's probably because there are so many other good choices out there, and in fact we have seen DICE start to buff these weapons to bring them in line with the rest of the pack. But if you really want to use a marksman rifle, the DM7 is a good choice. Alright, finally here we have utility weapons, and first up, it just has to be the new Rausch Mark IV railgun from Season 3. Now, fair warning here, this is not the easiest gun to use in the game. It has a charge up time before you can open fire, it only has 20 rounds, and in full auto mode it has a lot of vertical recoil. But it is a weapon that can do everything at all ranges, and since it's a railgun, it's almost hit scan, so if you're sniping across the map and you can track heads with this thing, you're going to be a god with it. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of it in full auto mode for a more run and gun playstyle. Those 20 rounds just dry up so fast, and the reload time is pretty long, but I can't deny that as far as utility weapons go, this one is a lot of fun. There aren't really any attachments to speak of to change out for this weapon. You can switch out the scope, but that's it. And then you use the underbarrel slot options to actually switch between single shot, burst fire, and full auto modes. And my final pick today is the new shotgun, the NVK S22. Before this came out, I would have gone with the 12M auto shotgun, which those of you who play will know is just an absolutely disgusting weapon, but I found the NVK S22 to be a little bit superior in range, and there's just something way cooler about a double barrel shotty. Stick with the buckshot for this one, equip a sight of your choice and a laser, and just have fun blasting people. The major downside to this weapon is the long reload time though, so you will need to be prepared to get out of dodge and reload. So there you go guys, those are my recommendations for the best weapons to choose and to grind for in Battlefield 2042 as of Season 3. I hope this was useful and that you learned something. If you did, consider hitting that subscribe button for future Battlefield content like this, and have a good one. Cheers.